good evening. Hi, Fifi Johnny, how you doing? Thank you for being here. What's going on? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Oh, yes. Well, gardening season is here, and I know you guys excited because I'm excited as well. All right, that's wonderful. Okay. Yes, I know you guys excited as well. So that's wonderful. Oh, yes. Such a beautiful day. Hope you're doing well. Happy. Yes, doing pretty well. Did a lot of work today in the garden. So, and I even learned something as well today. Oh, you love the background? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Learned so much in the garden today as well. Like, as always, there's always something new. You learn once you have that open mind in the garden and willing to learn. Yes, you will learn something every day. That's no joke. Yes, but today class gonna be on. We did the beginning. We did the soil. We did planting. So today we're gonna focus on manure, adding manure, and when is really good to add manure, and when you should really add the most manure to your plant. Yes. So we're gonna hold on a little. Well, I'm not sure who is it, because I'm not sure if anyone in the live, please let me know that I can able to continue, because it don't show me how much people in the live, so I don't know. Well, anyhow, at the end of the day, the video gonna be up there for a period of time, so you could always go back and watch the video from the beginning. Yes, that's right. I love to learn new things in the garden as well. Yes. If you have an open mind in the garden, you will always learn something. You will always see things. You will always see something. And the more you apply things in the garden, the more you're going to learn as well, instead of just going in the garden and walk around and, then you stand off, then you leave. No, you're not going to learn nothing like that. You got to pay attention and observe. And while you're applying things, you're going to start seeing different things start happening. So I'm going to wait 5 minutes. 5 minutes, then we're gonna move on with the class. 5 minutes. Okay, right now we are okay, so we right 5 minutes, then we're gonna move on. But meanwhile, we could talk a little thing about gardening. Meanwhile, yes, you see what I have learned in while gardening. I'm doing gardening for a pretty long time, and I also grew up learning about gardening at the same time. From about, I say, 4 or 5 years, I was in the garden. So I know a lot. And I also try to maintain the tradition of how I see they grow food. So I try to maintain that. And over the years, I add my own little touch, my own little experience to what I've learned. So now I've taken it to another level where I've learned so much, where it become so normal to, and where you be confident in what you're doing, because you know what you so know what you're doing that you become so confident that you already know once the weather is bad, once you get good weather, you already know what you're going to be growing, what you already see the vision of your garden. That's because you become so confident in what you're doing, and at the same time willing to learn. Not everyone willing to learn. Some people just satisfied with just growing, and some people just feel that's enough. Some people feel that's not enough. Some people feel they want to go to the extent of becoming better and understanding more things, understanding the plants, then more, and understanding how can I get more out of that plant. I believe if we grow in food, we should try to get the most out of each plant in our garden, and the best, and in the best. And don't forget, this garden is only about organic gardening and the way we grow our food. This is what this class is about. Class is not about talking about different product out there that you can go and get in the store. This is not what this class about. This class is about using the earth, using nature, and build your garden. Okay? Yes. So third topic is composting or manure, or you could say fertilizer, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, remember, we are using that type of fertilizer. So I'm not going to be talking about that type of fertilizer. I'm going to be talking about the way that I do it. And it works for me, and I think it will work for a lot of people if they try. Not here to tell you to do it my way, but sometimes trying other things could help you as well. Okay, so I'm going to begin now. Okay, so welcome to Gardening Class 2023. Thank you guys for being here tonight again. Appreciate you guys here. Tonight's topic is composting or manure or whatever you want to call it. But we're going to talk about when is the right time to add compost to your plant. When is the right time? But first, let me ask this question. What's the reason why you gardening? What's the purpose? All right, thank you, sis. I appreciate that. What's the reason? What is the reason why you want to garden? What's the purpose? And also, what type of garden you really want to do? You know, this is really important. You want to know, why am I gardening? Am I just gardening because I feel like planting some food? Or I want to garden because you want to feel you could do a job where you could eat more healthy? Or you could be doing a garden because you feel you could get some food from the garden. So, ask yourself this question: why am I gardening? Why am I really planting food? Why am I out here trying to grow some food? This is important, because once you're able to overcome that and understand why you want to garden, that's where you're going to begin. That's where you're going to begin, because now you know the reason. You want to know the reason why you gardening, and then you walk towards it. Okay, so think about that and make sure you know why you want to garden, and then you start walking from it. So now you understand why you want to garden. You understand that. And you know why you want to garden. You know why you want to do gardening. So now you're growing food. You understand the soil. We don't get over the soil. We don't get our soil prepared. We already add whatever we got to add to the soil. So now we waiting and we wait and planting the, and we already plant. So now what we notice now, the plants start growing. The plants start growing. Once we see the plants start growing, because remember, you already prep your soil the year before. We talk about that, right? You prep your soil the year before, so you get your soil ready for the following year. So when you reach the following year now, springtime, the soil is basically ready. So you already plant. So your plant going. Right now, your plant is doing well. The soil is beautiful because you already prepare it for the year in the fall for the spring. So now what you do now, okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Exactly. That's wonderful, Fifi Jordy. Yes, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you know why you want a garden, and that's what's important. A lot of people do not know the reason why they're gardening. They're just doing it to grow some food. But the purpose of it, they don't have the purpose. They're just doing it. So when we're talking about composting now, we remember that. Give me 1 second, please. Oh, sorry for that, guys. Sorry for that. Yes. So when we already plant, we did our planting already. So now when we see after we plant, remember, you got to remember, you already prepared the soil for last spring, last fall. So now we in the spring now, and the soil is okay now. The soil is good. So you don't need to add any manure at that time, because the thing about it is you don't want to add too much manure to your soil, because sometimes what does happen if you add too much, sometimes the taste come out in the food. So you got to be careful with that too. So say for instance now you already plant and the plants them growing. There gonna be a time. There gonna be a time when you actually see that the plant catch. When I say catch, I mean start growing. And when the plants start growing, what happen now? That means it start developing new roots. So while it start developing new roots, you allow it to keep developing new roots. While it start developing the new roots, the color gonna start change. You're gonna notice there's a change start appearing. After that change appear, whenever you see that change appear, once you see that color, like the plant start giving that, start changing, that's the right time. Well, from my experience, that's the right time to give it a small dose. Just a small dose. Don't get that, just a little dose, because remember, it already you already prepared the soil last fall. So when you see the color start changing, meaning it already start pushing new roots, you give it a liquor to feed these new roots. And then you're going to see the plant change into a different color, as a green. It's a green that once you see that green, basically you ain't have much to do to that plant again. So after I give it that little dose, not too much, just a little dose for push it through. You wait and you just, there's no more manure, don't add no more manure to that plant at all. When you're going to give it that extra dose is when it start flowers. Once you see flowers start coming out, it start pushing out blossom, then you give it that another dose. Because what's going to happen, I mentioned this many times, but what's going to happen is, it's like a woman get pregnant. And once a woman get pregnant, she need nutrition, she need vitamins, she basically need everything to strengthen her body to carry this baby. Because at the same time, she got to feed the baby. So she got to strengthen the baby for all these months, and the baby feeding through her. So it's the same thing like with the plants. The baby, the fruits feed through the plants. So by you boosting it up a little, by you giving it that boost, no, that extra boost really is to strengthen the mother, that it can give the fruits or the vegetables, whatever, it pushing out. More nutrition inside it, more vitamins, more minerals inside of it. So that help the plant to produce even bigger fruits, bigger vegetables. So 3 stage of composting, that's what I do. But remember, we're not using the fertilizer from the store. We're doing organic fertilizer, manual, organic. And maybe it works different with the fertilizer from the store. But for what I do, what I see, when you're dealing with organic manure, I see if you prepare your soil from the year before and you allow that soil to be through the winter into the fall, I think that's because you got to remember, this is why it's important to deal with your soil in the spring. You got to remember, when springtime, this is when everything's shooting up. Everything starts shooting up when springtime hit. You see? So it's best you deal with the soil in the fall. So, because in the spring is something happening in the soil in the spring. Something happening to the soil in the spring. That's why you see everything shooting up. So that's why I always say, do what you're doing in the fall. So when the spring come, everything gonna just mix in and be ready for you to plant something into. So when you plant, you really don't need, if you operating like this, you really don't need to add no compost, because the soil already ready and waiting for the plants. After you plant, you allow them to feed. Then when you see the color, because you're gonna see the color start changing, and you get a little, not too much, just a little, to give it that boost, to take it where to start pushing out the flowers. Because you see, you got to remember, these are ways you get more production out of plants. You see, plenty people believe planting, growing food is just growing food. But there's things you need to know about these plants and how to deal with these plants in order for them to produce continuously. Like I was saying, your plant's supposed to have 4 stages while producing. It's supposed to have fruits. It's supposed to have so when you harvest, there's other coming in. Then you have small baby one plus flowers. So you're supposed to be seeing 4 stages on every plant. And your plant, 4 stages. Your pepper, your okra, all these things you're supposed to be seeing 4 stages. Meaning pepper almost ready to harvest. Then you have the green one coming in for ripe. Then you have the baby one. Then you have the flowers. To be successful in this area, you have to follow some rules, believe it or not. You have to follow some rules. And if I just want you to try, you ain't got to change the way you grow your food. I just want you to try these steps, try these ways, and see for yourself. See for yourself. We also went through the process where we say plant them deeper. So I'm telling you tonight, try composting, fix your soil in the fall. Then in the spring, you come back and you give them a little once you see them growing. Once you see them growing and start pushing, the leaves start changing, the color start changing. Once the color start changing, then you know automatically new roots is pushing. So within that new root, you just give a little boost for these new roots. So these new roots going to help develop the plant and drive it into flower season. When I say flower season, I mean blooming season, meaning to blooming. Once the blooming is start, once the blooming begin, it's time to give them that boost to strengthen the plant, to push through, that this plant could continue, keep producing. Because the stronger the plant, the more healthier it be, the more fruits it's going to push out. Just like a woman, the more healthier the woman be, the more healthier the baby going to be. So always remember these stages. I'm going to run over it a little more. In the fall, prepare your soil. In the spring, after planting day, after you plant, you make sure you watch the plant and see the changes. You will see a change where the leaves start changing, where you see the life become in the plant. So you know for a fact this plant is growing. Hey boy, Blue, how are you doing? Thank you for being here. Right? So after you plant, after you plant, you make sure you pay attention. Once you pay attention to the plant, what you're going to see, the colors going to start changing. So once you see the color changing, you already know the plant is growing. So what you do, you add a little compost around it. Not too much. Just a little. Sorry, Lee. No, man, don't worry about that, man. We appreciate you here. Thank you for being here. No problem. Yeah. So basically, when you see the green, you make sure you add a little, not too much. That little you add is for feed these young roots that now pushing out. And these young roots is what gonna push it to blooming. After blooming, you add a little more compost to take it into harvest. And now that compost that you add gonna strengthen the plant. And the more the plant is, you strengthen the plant gonna be producing. So it's important, guys. It's really important on knowing how to deal with these plants. because that's how you get the production out of these plants. You have to know them. You have to study them. You have to pay attention. Because at the end of the day, you ain't just growing food. You see what I'm saying? You're growing food for production. You're growing food for able to feed your family. You want to able to grow, and when you harvest in abundance. You could smile. You say yes. So the simple things, the simple rules, like I always say, it's a blueprint to gardening. Okay, what nobody see. It's a blueprint to gardening. I truly believe that. There's things you just got to follow. If you really want, don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, there's a blueprint to the level of gardening that you want to do. Maybe you don't need a blueprint because you're not looking for the extra, the big vegetables without using the chemical that you could purchase. And your stuff still could compare the same size like what selling. If you're looking for that kind of production, yes, you have to pay attention. You have to study. You have to look. It's important to know when your plant catch. When I say catch, start growing, it's very important. It's important to know when your plants catching. Some people don't even realize it until when they do look, they see the plants them way up there. No, you should detect that from very young. Because if you detect it from very young and you understand, you will know that, okay, this plant is good now. Because once you see they start changing their colors and you give them that little manual, you're going to realize they change to this kind of green, man. This kind of green. It's a kind of green that has just produced such a bright, pretty, beautiful green. Just stand up in your garden. You know, yes, my job is done. So you go and focus on other areas in the garden. Then when you see they start to put flowers, or say you have cabbage. Say you're dealing with cabbage and broccoli. Let me step off the flowers now. Cabbage and broccoli, right? The same process. The cabbage, you're going to see the cabbage start folding. You're going to see the cabbage. Once you see it start folding, you know that's time to give them a nice mold up and a little manure, compost. A nice mold up and a little compost. And once you give them that nice mold up and the compost, that's it, you done. Just don't make no weed take them over. But at that time, when they start spreading, weed they wouldn't allow the weed to take them over because they will be covering the weeds. So broccoli, the same thing. From the time you see the little thing down inside there, like it start turning into a broccoli, you give it a nice mold up fast and add a little manure around it. Not too much, just a little, just to take it through that process of producing. Because remember, you don't fix your soil back in the fall, and you already give them a little boost in the spring when you see they start growing. So that now take them to where they start folding. So all you need is just a little bit to give them that, to give them that strength, to give you that huge cabbage without adding these things you got to buy from the store. Basically, every plant, for what I notice, every plant I grow, whether fruit tree or not, that's how they operate. With a fruit tree, Once you see blooming, you should get there and pull some dirt around it nicely and put a little manure around it because it needs strength to feed these fruits, that you can get big fruits, big healthy looking fruits. So it's very important to do that. So Boy Blue, since you're late, I'm gonna go over it one more time for you since you're late. Okay, I'm just gonna go over the process because tonight we're dealing with composting or manure, fort, whatever you call it. So what we do, what I do, fix the soil in the fall. So I'm not dealing with the soil. I don't do that in the fall. So I'm just leaving that, let nature do what it got to do to that soil. In the spring, we plant. We don't add no compost at that time because the soil is ready. So what we do, we plant when the planting they come for planting. We wait until we see the plants look like it start pushing new roots. How you gonna know that? You're gonna see the life in the plant, which the color gonna start changing. So once you see the color changing, you know this plant already catch and growing. You just add a little manure around it, little compost, not too much. That's gonna take it to the process of producing. So when it reaches to producing, you just add a little more compost, and that's gonna take it straight through until the last frost. So that plant's supposed to be producing continuously until that last frost. Follow these steps, guys. Just try. Not telling you to change your way of growing, but just try it. Try it, and remember, you have to take care of these plants really well in the young stage. Just like how you got to take care of the baby need everything. You got to be there for the baby. It's the same thing with the plant, because at the end of the day, you looking for production. Anything you're growing pumpkin, from the time you see flowers, you mold up, add a little, that gonna push them through. Because now this gonna make this, you got to remember, this little vines that comes up here and pushing all the way over there. You got to strengthen these vines to feed all these big pumpkins. You see? All these big pumpkin watermelon. You have to strengthen that plant. That it could run. Look how far it got to push to feed these plants over there. So the pumpkin, I give it a little I give it more than what I'll give the cabbage. I give it more than what I'll give the pepper, because the pumpkin and watermelon have more work to do. You see? So you give them a little and let it push and feed these plants. Very important. I'm sure this will help. I'm sure it will help. It works really good for me, really good for me. So I believe it might be able to help somebody as well. Okay. No problem, no problem. So you guys, is there any question tonight? Because I don't like to put too much information in the classes, because I just wanted to stick at the point that the topic. So most likely you get that, instead of me trying to take it. It's too much information in one segment. So I'm hoping that this is enough information for manual. So the next Next, we're gonna be talking about, okay, we talk about manure. We're gonna talk about harvest time. Vital information. Okay, wonderful, 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 wonderful. Just try it. You know, all you got to do, just my thing is do it with a few plants. Try it with a few plants and leave your plants the way you do it. Continue that way with some of them and try it with some different plants just for you to see the difference of how the plant's gonna operate. That's a good way to see the proof of does this really work? Is it working? Or you understand? So try some that way and also some the way that you custom to. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for the biggest, the most production you could find in this gardening. Garden season is pretty short, and within that time, you want to see how much you can grow. You have no time to make mistake. Mistake is not an option because you ain't get no long growing season. So you want to make sure that you do this thing and able to get production from it at the same time. You know, the thing about, you see, I don't know much about other fertilizer, and I'm not going to be talking about them because I really don't know about them. And I'm not even interested in knowing either. Because if there's a way that you could actually grow your food without using thing that if you buy something and if you throw it around your plant, it could damage your plant. I mean, why am I buying this thing? That's how I see it. So this is why I'm not interested. And I think what I'm witnessing for all these years, I think you've been getting deceived for a long time. I think the deceive is because of the sake of people able to make money. So they take you away from the original and put you in a place that you don't mind spending. So what I'm seeing, watching nature, and when you study back, at the people, the original people, how they used to grow food, when you study back how they grow food and how they learn to grow food, they actually mimic nature. They actually study nature. This is what they do. So this is what we got to do as well. We have to study nature. Watch, go in the bushes, watch, just watch. See who does when go in there and feed these plants. See who carry fertilizer in there. No, nobody. So these people understand. We got to get back to that place. I normally fertilize in the winter because I grow fall garden. Then I fertilize again when my garden is about to start sprouting to give it a boost. All right, so whatever works for you, you push for it. Okay, so basically you give fertilizer in the winter. Like me now, it's like that the same thing I'm doing. I'm just, that's basically same thing. Give them that, get the soil mixed up, the leaf, whatever you got to mix together in the winter. So it's like, yes, you basically, that's a good idea. You give it the fertilizer in the fall. Well, I'm not saying the one in the stores. That's not what I'm talking about. Organic. We're talking about organic fertilizer. So you give it that in the fall and you just leave that there. That's going to walk itself all through the winter. And people believe, not even though it's cold, that doesn't mean nothing don't happen. Nature still walks within the cold weather. You see? So just leave it there. Even if it freezes up, whatever, just leave it right there. Nature still walks in the cold weather. Then in the fall, in the spring, when you plant, as Fifi say, as soon as you see start producing, she give it a boost. Okay. You see? So that's as soon as it start producing. What you mean? As soon as you start adding, seeing flowers, or when it start growing? Which one you saying, Fifi Johnny? When it start flowers or when it start growing? Because once I see it start growing, because now it growing, so it pushing new roots. You know, it start pushing out new roots now. It pushing out new roots. So now I give that. I feed these new roots. You see? So now the old roots feeding, the new roots feeding, that gives your plant such a boost. You see? Push them into producing time, which is start adding flowers. Then after you see the flowers are not plenty, just a little to push them through, and that gonna be feeding the plant while it's producing, feeding it while it's producing. And you understand, this is why you're supposed to have 4 stages on your tree. Ready to harvest, some almost ready to come in, then you have small one, then you have flowers. That should be on your tree, all going through the summer, all going through the fall until you hit the last fall. So that's what happened to my plant. Every fall I lose so much flowers and little peppers, little okras, every fall. So let me see what Fifi say. Okay. I only use my own compost, which is slow feeding natural fertilizer. That's it. You see, when we you see these fertilizer that we add, right? Like we buy, like we purchase, like what people purchase. That does make your plants jump. You see what I'm saying? That make your plant jump up in the air. You see? When you're dealing with organic compost, it load the plants take it time. It grow, but it take it time and grow how it's supposed to grow. Because there's nothing inside it, inside your soil, that's gonna make they grow and at the same time damaging your soil. So yes, that give it that, it feed them, but it's a slower feeding. And these plants, they still grow and they still will able to produce as big as if you use that thing where they just put around the plant. But it's not gonna just shoot up in 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Shoot up. It take it time, but when it grow, it continue grow. You feed it, it continue grow, and then you see these big plants all over your head. You know what I mean? Let me see. Not at all. Only natural compost. Yes, and I'm glad you're doing that. I'm so glad you're doing that, because you kind of help show people that your plants could do without these things. And that's all I'm trying to do. So I'm glad you're doing that, because yes, you don't need these things as far as we see. You could do without. Use wisely and maximize whatever the time you have to achieve the best harvest. You said it, man. That's it right there. That's it right there, because at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the best harvest possible. You're looking to get the most out of your plants. You see, I've been studying these plants. I'm telling you, I sit down and I study these plants for years. These plants and how they operate and what they want, you know. And this is the listen, this is the important in gardening. Patient. It don't happen overnight. Patient is very important, because you know, like I just say, I have my measuring tape. I have a measuring tape. I don't know if you know the one that you could and just roll it back in. I think the tailors used to use that. I have one of them, and listen to me, I've been taking measurement. If people see me measuring the body of the plant, they might be saying, what the hell is he doing? But they don't know what I was doing that for. I was doing that because it made me understand. It made me understand things. Because if I'm growing in the same area, and I realize, okay, last year, these plants was, you know, when you pull around, it was like an inch or 2 inches. And now it's an inch and a quarter or inch and a half. Then I know something is going on in this area here. So within the fall, I'm going to make sure I walk on this soil in this area. And then when I do that, guess what happened? The following year, it get back to that 2 inches, like when they carried around 2 inches, it get back there. So that's proof right there that when you see that, you got to walk on your soil in that area here. In this area here, need something inside here. So over the years, I see and I see when I do, like for instance, after you see like the size of the plant drop, and say, damn, this plant was bigger last year. What happened? So now you this area, you mark it. You put a mark here. You put a mark, or you might put a nail right there. And you say, see this area here? I gotta walk on this area here. Then when the area hit, when you start fixing this area, you realize, damn, the plant get back to the 2 inches. That's where I learn. So when you hear I tell people I'm my own scientist in my garden, I am my own scientist in my garden, because I have tons of notes. I did my own research. I did my measurements. I did everything on my own. I have so much stuff right now that take me to the level where I'm at today when come on gardening. So you check what I'm saying? When people see when they look at tape, you know, you say, damn, I have a measure. Oh, you have one too? Well, make use of it, sis. It helps. If people say, hey, Urban Gardening, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Yes. When people see what they measuring tape, measuring the body of the plant, they might say, what the hell? Is she nuts? But don't bother with them. I learn a lot with that measuring tape, because it helps me to know when an area in my garden need walking on the soil. So when people talk about soil, when people really talking about soil, listen to me. When you're talking about soil, man, I did my research on soil. You see, when I say I have 10 years ahead of information, ahead of what I talk about today, it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. And I think one day I'm gonna put this information in a book. For real. No, seriously. I think I'm gonna put this information in a book, because I have these notes, and there's full proof of what I did all my information, full proof, all my experiment. Why you think today I could come out and tell you how my garden gonna look? Why you think years upon years I still could produce the same look, the cabbage, the same looks of cabbage? I already mastered these things already. I already know their desire. I already know what they want. I already know the depth to plant them. I already know the space to give them. Everything I know about these plants. Well, not everything, I'm still learning, but open your mind to learning and never believe you know everything. And you will accomplish a lot. Okay. Just water my garden, the mosquito ate me up. Oh, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Okay. Don't go out in the dark. The mosquito will be... Okay, okay. I took a nap and then put the girls to bed. I decided to water the carrot. They dry, then got caught up. Okay, I hear that. Yep, those cabbage behind you. Yes, right, okay. You see them cabbage behind me? Every year I plant cabbage. That's how they look. Every single year. That's how they look. You see, one year I had a situation where I stay away from the garden for 3 weeks. And listen me, them thing had a feast in my garden. They tear up everything. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, every year, this is the look. I already mastered that thing. I'm telling you. I already mastered growing cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. I've been growing these things forever. I know what to do to get them to produce huge. Them cabbage leaf big. You could, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, boy blue? You could use them for umbrella, right? Yeah, man. No holes. Mine is small and covered and leaf missing. Okay. And if you notice, this, you see, this is what I'm saying, guys. This is why I'm telling you guys. Well, I know you guys doing organic. Well, not really you guys. I'm telling people, stop introducing all kind of things in your garden where you're growing your food. Stop introducing meat and all this kind of stuff in your compost pile. Don't do it. Sometimes you introducing parasite in your garden. You introduce a foreign parasite in your garden. Sometimes these things come with eggs. You might say, you might be eating a fruit, right? And you decide, man, you eating it, you might see a worm. And you take it and you pelt it in your compost pile. You know what you know what you did? You know what you know happened there? This thing could have eggs. You now introduce a different parasite in your garden that eating fruits too. And also tearing up your roots. Then guess what? You go on in your compost pile and you dig in and you get it and then you throw them around your plants. Then you realize stuff eating down your plant, stuff. Let your garden be pure and nature-like. Let it be nature-like and always set up the little area for your boards them. In case your boards them see something, your boards, you gotta own the boards them. The boards them is yours. I own them. I don't say my boards because they do a wonderful job. Look at this cabbage. You ain't seeing a hole in these things. Not one hole you see in these cabbage. Stop introducing parasite in your garden. If you ain't grow it, it shouldn't go in your compost pile. If it ain't grow up in your garden, it shouldn't be going in your compost pile. If you ain't make it, it shouldn't be going in your compost pile. Whatever you take in and put in your compost pile, it's a problem. I know this guy was talking and he say he get horse manure and all kind of stuff, and he spread out in his garden. He spread out. You know, he get it for free. And he spread out everything and he said, yes, next spring gonna be beautiful. Guess what happened? The people them was spraying. I can't remember the name of the thing. On the part spraying is grass fed, you know. They grass fed, but and you gotta be careful too. Because not because they grass fed, there's something that are spray in the grass that kills out the weeds them, and that's kill your plants them. So he spread out everything, and he say his tomato them start growing up and just everything start dying, grow up and die. So be careful of what you bring in to your garden. Be careful. My chicken would eat those worms and eggs. All right, well, at least you got something for do that for you, but many people ain't have that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you see, you know what you give in your stuff. You know, this is what I'm saying. If you doing it, you know what's in there, so that's cool. But just getting it from people, it's a problem. Then you got to be fighting to spray. You bring them in now, you got to go buy spray now. Think about it. Do you really feel that these spray, you spray on these things, does just wash away and just, that's it? Or do you feel they stick around on the plant and sometimes even get into the plant? So think these things to think about. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let me see. Exactly. I only compost why crap and kitchen crap. Okay. Man, you can have wrong. Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. This is why you have to be careful. I'm so happy that nobody water run on to me. I'm so happy that that's the case. Nobody water run on my property. Everybody water run them own in them own angle. Nothing comes down to me. I'm so happy because people do a lot of things with the grass. People spray, people do whatever, and that could get in your soil. So I'm so happy I don't have that problem. But getting these compost really can mess you up, and that's no joke. Free problem. That's it. That's it right there. Free problem. Free problem. You said it right. Some soil have insect and are invasive. That's it. So when people hear me say, I'm not taking nothing in my garden, they might say, oh, what he talking about? But I know the reason why I say that. You could bring in worms, insect into your soil, and you have your nice little cabbage growing, and next thing you start to see your cabbage them start to get a bunch of hole everywhere. Sometimes it ain't just the worms eat your cabbage. Sometimes is the insect that comes out of the soil also feed off your cabbage and also eat the roots of your plants. So that's something I think you should be very careful of. What you take into your, even the compost them you buying, sometimes you got eggs can travel in there. You just never know. And you might believe that things can't survive. Don't think eggs can't survive. Don't think egg, and these things could come and hatch in your garden, and right there you introduce a different parasite, a different pest. No, you got to deal with that. No, you catching yourself now going for the spray bottle and poisoning yourself at the same time. So this is why I try to stay away. And I'm showing the proof. I don't understand. I show so much proof of why you shouldn't buy these things, on why you shouldn't buy them, and how you could use these, your leaf and whatever, and grow food. I show so much proof of that. I don't trust these things. I really don't. So in order for me to grow the food I want to eat and what I like to eat and how I want it to grow and what I want to put it around it, I focus on nature. I understand not everyone have the access to leaf and stuff like that, but at least if you got to buy compost and whatever, at least try not to use the chemical fertilizer to boost anything. You can make your own fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. You know, I make my own liquid fertilizer every 2 years. I don't do it every year. I do it every 3 years. And I make it and then I use it and I water them, throw it around the plants them and just leave them. I don't try to do it every year because, I try to space it out every 3 years. So you could make your own liquid fertilizer. You could pull weeds out your garden. You could have a bucket. I mean, it do smell. But what they say you could use lemongrass. Someone told me you could use lemongrass and lemongrass could help eliminate the scent of it. It do smell bad, but at the same time, it's natural. They have no chemical inside of it. So look into that, guys. If you ain't doing it already, there is so much out there that is really available and affordable. That is so easy for people to buy it and add it to their garden, but it just deplete the soil. That's it. That's it. And to me, it don't make sense getting these things and like people as get compost from the zoo. I hear somebody was talking about, you could get manure from the zoo. What the hell am I gonna do with that manure? What am I gonna do with that? These things get medicine, they get pills, they get all kind of stuff. What I'm taking that and put around my food? Nah, I don't think so. Papa, I tried that once, but it smelled. Yes, it really, really smell bad. Really, really smell bad. But why does I just do it down to the bottom? So down to the bottom. So when I want it, I go down and I dip it and come on, you know what I mean, and put it around the plant. But it really smell bad. But I think it's good. I think it helps. I think it's help. So I do it every 3 years and I think it help the plants. I think it do. at the end of the day, is natural fertilizer you put in around your plant, which make a lot of sense to me. More healthy and better for us. Yes, guys. So, yes, guys, thanks again for coming out. Tonight was a beautiful night again, where we share information, and I wish you guys a very successful year of gardening, and just keep gardening, keep growing something. Don't let nothing distract you. Try to grow as much as you can. Focus on food that you can store without refrigerator, because we don't know what is coming. We don't know what is happening. You just got to get yourself a few months prepared. Food for few months in case anything, you could last. Okay? A pleasure as always. I'm always open to learning. That's it, boy Blue. Can't close up that mind at all, man. It's too much to learn. Too much out there to learn to just close up. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Too much out there. Too much out there. And I'm open to learn. I'm open to learn, but I'm not interested in chemical. You see, once you see chemical, it's like a distraction. It's like hell. It's like hell. No. But I'm open to learn if we're talking about organic. If we're dealing with organic, I'm open. Not the chemical. You see what I'm saying? From the time you trying to promote chemical to me, I don't get, you don't know already. I don't like to hear about chemical. So I'm learning myself, and I'm open to learn on new things, but it's got to be natural. For real. Yes. Thanks for having this conversation, because some people don't realize they can grow garden without. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. The pleasure as always. All right. All right. No problem. Thank you guys again. And next one gonna be 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks. So I'm gonna be it now twice a month now. Twice a month. Because I know people busy, everybody busy in the garden. So basically we're trying to prolong it throughout the garden season. So we reach to manual. So we're gonna be talking a little about harvesting and when to harvest. We're gonna get into that next 2 weeks. All right, Urban Garden Chronicles. Yes, in 2 weeks' time is for our next garden class. If anyone miss any class, yes, June. Okay, thank you, Fifi. Yes, June 11th at 9 p.m. we're gonna have another class. So if you miss any class, you could always go back and watch these classes, where this is what the third or fourth class. You could always go back and watch them, because I'm gonna have them there for a period of time. Okay, so thank you guys again. Appreciate you guys. Happy gardening to each and everyone. Stay positive. Be progressive. Peace, love, and blessing to each and every one of you. Good night, guys.